It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a beautiful Wednesday in Nashville, Tennessee. Temperatures on this Valentine's Day, perfect, up toward the 60-degree mark. Normally, we begin our show with idle chit-chat, such as this. Kelly Holcomb in Murfreesboro, how are you?
What's up, Jorge? I'm doing good.
Idle chit-chat.
Idle.
Billy, how are you today?
I'm good. I got to admit, a little under the weather. I think I might have gotten some food poisoning. We'll see. It wasn't a fun morning. I'll say that.
Keep it away from me.
Were you throwing up?
I did this morning. Yeah.
Oh, do we really? Do we have to go there? I mean, this is Kelly's fault. This is not Billy's fault. Yeah, no, you tried to find this out, and that's totally unnecessary.
And now Billy, it's a hat day, huh, Billy? It's a hat day.
It's a hat day.
This is a violation of the Geneva Convention, human rights.
Well, let me ask you this. What time did you wake up this morning?
Actually, around 7 o'clock, actually.
Be real careful.
It just felt awful.
Just felt awful, huh? You didn't wake up at noon like normal?
Wow.
No, that's you. I don't go to bed at 10 like you do, though, so it's a little bit harder.
I do go to bed at 10. Sometimes I'll go to bed a little earlier too. I hate to say it. I mean, what do you want me to do?
I will be doing that tonight. I'll say that.
I have no kids in the house. They're all gone. I go to sleep. I'm going to get my beauty sleep. And you can tell it's working. Just look.
Oh, yeah, no question. Okay, end of small talk. Normally we would bring Mark McGee on to talk Predators around 2:20, but he's got some scheduling conflicts to get to, and so we're going to go right to that. Gee, thank you for coming on. How are you?
Well, I do it. Thank you for making the change there. I'm getting a visual of Billy being sick, but other than that, it's good to be on.
So I walked out of Bridgestone last night with a little different feeling than I've had in a while. And the feeling that I walked out with was, number one, if UC Soros had not been brilliant, last night would have been 8-2 or 9-2. The Predators got absolutely pummeled. They were truly, even though the score will show otherwise, they were never really in that game. New Jersey pushed them around. And, Guy, I walked out of there last night saying, I'm sure Barry Trotz saw the same thing and said to himself, this is not a playoff team.
Well, actually, Ed Brunette said that too. So they were playing like a team that looked like it wanted to be in the playoffs. And Roman Yossi echoed, he's the captain. He said, we got outworked and outbattled. We can't get outworked and outbattled at this stage of the season with where we are. But they did. They got outworked and outbattled the whole game. It was an ugly game. You're right. I mean, for Saros, 42 saves as a record for him this year. If he had not been there, it would have been a really ugly game. There were a couple of real ugly games last night in the NHL, and that would have been one of them had that not happened.
So are you of the same belief as me that Barry walked out of there going, Well,
I think so. I don't know how realistic his viewpoint's been on this anyway, as far as them making the playoffs. But New Jersey was just as almost as desperate in some ways as Nashville. New Jersey's battling in the Eastern Conference for a playoff spot, and they've had some ups and downs. So they came in much more motivated, obviously, than Nashville was, and the Predators were, and I was kind of shocked at that. I figured it would be a close game, and it was because of Saros, the way he played. But it wouldn't have been like you say, it wouldn't have been a close game otherwise. It was pretty much New Jersey dominated on all levels.
I don't know that I've ever seen before this stat. New Jersey had 22 shots on goal in the first period. I don't know that I've ever seen that before.
And usually stopped them all.
He was incredible.
Yeah, he stopped every one of those in the first period. And sometimes a goaltender, when he's shelled like that, actually plays better because they're always on and always ready to go because they know any second the shot's going to come at them. Instead of some of these games that kind of languish with shots on goal when they kind of let their minds wander a little bit. So those types of games sometimes are the type of games goaltenders like to play. I think with a lot of shots on goal to keep them attentive and keep them on the move.
So let's take a look at the standings real quickly of the 6 teams that really have something to do with these final 2 spots. These are the teams competing to get positions 7 and 8. Kings and Blues, ironically, both lost last night. The Kings got pummeled. Buffalo scored a touchdown. Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs and beat the Kings 7-0. And
that was one of those ugly games I was talking about.
Yeah. And the Blues went to Toronto and got beat 4-1. So the Predators, although they are very close in those standings, and I have tried to be very optimistic about pennant race and all that kind of stuff. Guy, for me, it all went out last night. I just said, not happening.
Well, they bounced back against the Stars this week. And because of this homestand 2-1, you'd like for it to have been 3-0, but 2-1 wouldn't be too bad from that standpoint. So,
we lost Guy.
Guy's gone.
Beep, beep, beep.
I heard it. He usually calls back.
Yeah, so we'll stall around for a minute. Kelly, one of the things that is interesting in the NHL is that a goaltender can take a game where his team is getting the hell beat out of it.
Yeah.
And on his head enough that the scoreboard never shows it.
Yeah, I think he had 43 saves last night. So he obviously kept those guys in the game, and he still allowed 4. So they must have, like you said, man, 22 shots on goal in the first period. That's kind of crazy.
So I'm told Guy is back with us.
Yeah,
so
I know what happened.
Technology, it's a wonderful
That's what
thing.
happened.
Yeah, we're talking about the standings. You've got the Flames. Everybody gave up on the Calgary Flames. They looked like they were going to be sellers, and they kind of made a move like they were going to be. But so after I have to tell the team that they're playing really well, and they're like at 55 right now, and the Kraken's at 54. So there's a lot of people right on the heels of those last 2 spots. The Wild's at 53, but a lot of people are counting them out. I think the Coyotes are out of it now at 50. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out in the next 9 games.
So here's a question that a bunch of us up in Section 304 were bandying about last night. Okay, so Barry's not stupid. He saw this just like we saw it. If a moron like me can figure this out, Barry certainly figured it out. So at the trade deadline, are the Predators a seller to dump payroll or a seller to get better?
I would think hopefully to get better, but they may also be a seller to dump payroll as well. I mean, UC Saros' name keeps on coming up and keeps on coming up. Elliot Friedman was talking today that he's the NHL guru as far as the media goes. He was talking this afternoon that Saros' situation has been kind of quiet and he thinks that means that maybe something's going on. So, and I really think that Barry's really taking calls now about that. But it's got to be a heck of a deal. You're talking about a high first-round pick, or maybe a first-round pick and a second-round pick the next year, a prospect, a starter. You're talking about it's going to have to be a package and a half. I don't know how many teams that need help as far as goaltending goes can step up and offer that type of thing. Most of the teams that need help aren't going to be drafting very high in the first round. So, it's got to be a really nice package. And one thing to look at is Saros is still a bargain, but in 2025, he's going to be asking for like $60 million over like a 7-year period at least. And so I think they have to think about that as well.
So, Guy, here's another question out of section 304, row B. The belief being that Roman Josi has not been as good as he has been in the past. Number one, is there a market for Roman Josi? And secondly, do you think that's on the table?
And I heard that mentioned, but I mean, he's a team captain. You kind of hate to trade your team captain, though, from that standpoint. But Show Weber got traded, so I guess it would be the first time they traded a team captain. And I don't know. It would be quite the package that you'll get for Saros, but yeah, I'd say that a lot of teams would like to have a defenseman like Roman Josi playing for them. And he has had an off year a little bit, but I think all that has to do with the transition to Andrew Burnett's style play.
Okay, do this for me, and then I'll turn it over to Kelly. Let's go. I'm writing down the phrase salary dump. In the name of salary dump, who might be in there?
Well, I know we talked about some players. There's not really anybody with a huge amount of money, and the Preds right now have a nice little cushion as far as the cap goes right now. So they're not as desperate as a lot of teams might be to dump salaries. But you've got some players that like Jakob Trent's coming up as an unrestricted free agent. Tyson Berry is one out, and I think he's an unrestricted free agent. You've got a couple other guys that are unrestricted free agents, so you might want to get rid of. And you're going to pick up another $2 million, $3 million, or something like that. But there's nobody's going to really be a home run like a Duchesne or a Johansson would have been last year.
Okay, stop on Barry for a second, because very early on he expressed his displeasure, and I'm assuming that Barry Trotz probably said to Tyson Berry, if there's a market for you, we'll move you. Is there a market for him?
So far, there hasn't been. I think there could be. I mean, he's not an untalented player. He just seems to be not happy in Nashville. Unless he sat last night, I think.
Oh, no, he played last night.
He played decently well, actually, last night.
Yeah. 2 nights ago, he was sitting. So, but so I mean, I don't know. There's obviously some issues there with him, and but he's not a bad player. I think somebody might want him as an extra tool for the playoff run or whatever. So you've got some teams that are kind of like Las Vegas has not said anything about making any moves, and you heard some teams kind of talking about stuff. And so many teams want a goaltender right now, but Las Vegas has been really solid about what they might want to do. And the Predators have traded some with Vegas in the past, so who knows what might happen in that angle. But I say it all depends on these next 9 games on the road. I mean, the next 9 games actually next 10 games, I guess, coming up. So it all depends on that as to what happens. So I mean, they've got he'll sit back and then say, okay, we got to do this, we got to do that. I mean, I think he's looking forward. I think he looks. I thought, like I said a few weeks ago. I don't think he wants us to always be an 8th pick team or 7th pick team, seeded team that's going to go the first round and bye. He wants a team that's going to go deep into the Stanley Cup playoffs and hopefully eventually win one. And so I think that's what he's looking at from a parts and pieces standpoint, what he can do to make this team better for next year.
Kelly, take it wherever you want. Say hello to Guy.
Guy, what's up, man? How you doing, brother?
How you doing, Kelly?
I'm doing okay and doing okay. Hey, I just want to know, like, I'm still trying to figure all this stuff out. So if you got Soros and you like, do they not like what he's doing? I mean, is he too inconsistent for them, or what is the deal? Because it seems to me like, looking at hockey, and I'm obviously a novice. I don't really know much about it. I'm learning. But like, if you got the guy in place, why would you not want to keep him and build around that? I mean, why are they thinking about getting rid of him? Do they not think he's the answer?
Well, there's probably 60+ million reasons after next year that they might be thinking that. Do they want to pay him for 7 or 8 years? For 7 years, it's over 60 million plus. and that's the numbers being tossed about right now for him. And when to sign again, so I mean he's been a real bargain for them the last few years, and that bargain basement is going to close after next year. So I think they have to look at that in the future. And you got Yaroslav Askarov; he's right there waiting. He's playing about as well as he can play in the AHL. Now, granted, the AHL is not the NHL, but he's knocking on the door pretty loud right now. And so. And Barry's taking a strong look at Milwaukee. I mean, he brought in Oscar, get right, Ospanasarov. Easy for me to say.
That was a good try by a vowel.
Yeah, Janikowski and that Igor kid. Yeah,
I was kind of close, but actually, there's two different pronunciations for it, which I thought was interesting. But so yeah, but they brought him in as possible goal scorer. He was leading Milwaukee in goals. They got 21 in 42 games, and so they brought in Mark Jankowski, who was also a high points leader for Milwaukee. So two of the top guys for them. They got Igor and Mark both up here, and I think they're up here to see what they can do offensively to boost that depth that's been lost from a scoring standpoint. And these guys obviously are scorers in the AHL and done pretty well. So both of them also not only can play 5-on-5, but they're great power play players as well. And so they can hopefully boost the power play, which has done a bit better the last couple of games. So hopefully they can boost that as well. So and Tomasino, Phil Tomasino went back down to Milwaukee, and he should have Duncan on the back of his jersey because he's been up and down like a yo-yo this year. And so it's pitiful what they've done to him. They keep on saying they want to bolster his confidence, but setting him for 11 games this season, sending him up and down to Milwaukee on the shuttle, I don't see how that helps his confidence any, but hey, I don't know.
So other than the 60 million reasons for next year, obviously you think that Barry Trotz has got his eye on somebody. Like you said earlier, you brought up, I guess that he's the guy from Milwaukee. Is that who the goaltender is? So he's got his eye on somebody, if not him or somebody else in the NHL that he's looking at.
Well, I think he's got to be looking. He's looking for a package for Saros that will be a package that will give them that will bolster the Predators' future. And one of those, he needs a high level forward. But how many teams are going to be willing to give away a high level forward for a top goaltender? I mean, it's an interesting situation. That's why I think being a general manager is a fun job, because usually there's so many pieces and puzzles to deal with from that standpoint. So, but what do you give up from an offensive standpoint to get to bolster your defense from the standpoint of somebody wanting to make a trade with the Predators? And the Predators need offense. That's what he's going to be going after, is a big offensive push. And, I don't know who's going to be able to give up somebody that's going to make a difference in the Predators offense right now. And Searles might, like I said, it's been kind of quiet, like Freeman said, the last couple of days or 3 days. And, maybe Josh is not taking calls, but a lot of people think he should. He's taking some calls to see what's going to go on. I don't think they think that Searles is playing badly. He's actually had a decent season. He's had more than a decent season for most goaltenders. But I think that people are looking at him from the standpoint of, you got Askarov down in Milwaukee. What are you going to do? You're also going it's a full net coming up here for next year, because they're also Askarov won't stay in Milwaukee next year. There's no reason for him to.
So let me ask you this, and you kind of answered this earlier, and this is just me not knowing, but me being the NFL, we tried to get all we wanted was a chance to get into the playoffs. If you get into the playoffs, it's one game, and if you're better than that other team in the one game, it doesn't matter. But it seems like hockey's a little different, and if you're struggling to be the number 8 team, and then you've got to play a series, I think, correct? Is it a 3-game series, guys?
Yeah.
7.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in the first round, is it a 3-game series or a 5-game series?
7.
Oh, it's 7.
Yes.
So every series is a first round series. So if you're the 8th team getting in, and that you just barely got there, and you're having to go into a series, do you think it's better for like a Barry Trotz or a GM to say, hey, we're not going to make it. We don't have the team to make it. let's just don't make it and let's start over. I mean, is that what they're thinking, or are they just wanting a shot to get there?
Well, I think Barry's thinking toward the future more than anything else, because this team has been a 7th or 8th seeded pick in the playoffs of late, and the last year, of course, didn't make it at all. But they, I think that people are tired of that. I think the fans in 304 are tired of that, aren't they, George?
Well, it's a double-edged sword, because they were 8th, when they made the run to the Stanley Cup final that nobody saw coming. And that's the beauty of hockey.
Wow.
In the NBA, an 8 seed can't go to the finals. Hell will freeze over beforehand.
Yeah.
But hockey, that's a different deal.
St. Louis did the same thing a few years ago.
Exactly.
Okay.
They won the Stanley Cup. And they were counted out to the very end almost. So you never know. So that's the thing he has to look at. And also, as players, you look at the general manager and think, okay, we're on the edge of the playoffs here. What's the general manager going to do to help us get to that 7th or 8th spot in the trade deadlines? What help is he going to give us? And if the general manager doesn't give them help, a lot of players are going to say, like, well, they don't care if we go to the playoffs or not this year, or they don't care what we're doing. They don't care what we've done so far. And so it's a tightrope that general managers have to walk. So it's you've got to decide. Do you have the chance or do you not have the chance? That's why I think these next few games, I think Barry's probably got an idea of what he wants to do. He's probably got written down in his back pockets to what he wants to do. But he's going to wait and see what happens in the next few games before he actually says, okay, I'm doing this or this. He's got probably a pro and a con list that he's ready to go with.
Are there any more guys for the Milwaukee Admirals that they're thinking about? Or, I mean, is there any guys they're going to put down and bring back up? Or, I mean, because Milwaukee's having a really good year this year, right? I think they've won like 14 or 15 in a row in the AHL. Is that correct?
They've got a 14-0 record. I mean, it's a streak going. They're an awesome team. And but these Jankowski and Igor, I'm just say Igor. They're two of the top ones they could have brought up. They've got a lot of depth down there. There's some other players that might bring up, but those two were not surprising at all. Because like I said, he's trying to give the offensive boost and some depth, and also in a way, as well give the power play a boost too.
I think we're done. Yeah, Guy, thank you so much.
I'm sorry it seemed like we all had problems today, so I'm glad we were able to get this going. So
absolutely. Thank you as always. We'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Mark McGee joining us. Guess what we're going to do after the break?
Tell us.
We're going to play the game, Ask the Director. Yeah. So if somebody has a question they want to ask me, Billy, because you're going to have a couple to ask me, how does a person do that?
You just got to type in the comment or question in YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you can do it on Facebook. You can do it on Twitter as well. It's pretty obvious where the chat function is, and just roll with it.
Ask the Director will come up next, and then we'll give you a little update on what's going on in the world of sports.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, you need to call Bart Durham. And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. It's time to play one of the cheesiest games in all of sports talk. Ask the director.
So you're calling yourself the director, huh?
Well, it was a nickname that got pinned on me years ago. Willie was sort of the one that pinned it on me. And,
he did.
I used to get a lot of, okay, director. Anyway, it kind of became a running joke. I don't know what it is that I'm director of, but it sounds good. Billy, are you prepared to play Ask the Director?
I am.
Oh, well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
How's your health?
Not great, but we're battling.
Don't get any germs on me.
Hey, we don't need to hear about the labor pains, Billy. Just show us the baby.
Show me
we
the
don't
baby.
need to hear about that.
Of course, you were
we
the
don't
one
need to
that
hear all
asked
that.
him if he threw up. Was that really necessary? God.
All right. Does Vandy's win? Vandy beat A&M, by the way, last night.
Sure
I
did.
don't know that many people are aware of that, but they did. They won by 1. Credit to Ezra Mannion. He won them that game. Does that win last night do anything for you? Does that change anything for you? They're 2-7 or 2-9 now?
2-9.
2-9 in the SEC. Obviously, still 7-17. Does that change anything?
Do you believe you know my answer before you ask the question?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, let me start with this. The happiest that I am about this is for this kid, Ezra Mannion, who I have never met, but I have so come to appreciate this kid's grit, his determination, the fact that he's quicker than lightning. I wish for him that his experience here in the 2 years would have been better. He deserved better. So, number one, I'm thrilled for him that this happened. Does this change anything? Absolutely not. And let me throw these numbers out there. Their record is 7-17 and 2-9 in the conference. Okay, as somebody who grew up in the shadows of that gym, that is garbage. 7-17, 2-9 is a joke. And for anybody to think that one win over A&M should suddenly have us, let's all, have a party for Jerry. Please. Are you kidding me? Memorial Gym is a tomb. Did any of you see the crowd last night? I did. You could get that at a BGA game. Notice.
Oh, I saw it.
BGA.
I saw it. Does it
They're
say
playing.
Hall of Fame on it? Does it say Hall of Fame on it?
It does, yes.
It does? But
well,
that wasn't you, though.
Hall of Fame Golf Classic.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. So, one of the concerns, and this is being shared by some of the basketball alums that talk to me, because I'm on a thread with a bunch of them. Today, Ohio State fired Chris Holtmann. Is it Holtmann? Holton?
Holtmann.
Holtmann. Yeah. And this was not unexpected. Ohio State has sort of gone in the dumper. Billy, what's their record?
They are 5-15, I think, overall.
What's their Big Ten record?
4-10, I think I saw. 4-9, something like that.
So something in the same
Similar,
family of you suck. What a lot of the guys that are on this thread are worried about is that DePaul and Ohio State are getting a head start. Now, I would assume, help me with this, that Ohio State is going to target Chris Mack.
I would imagine, yeah.
That's a guy Vandy ought to be looking very seriously at. By the way, his daughter,
is going there.
His daughter is the first recipient of a Vanderbilt volleyball scholarship.
Yep.
So there is a tie between Chris Mack and Vandy that maybe some people didn't know. That's a guy that has to be high on their list.
That's huge.
Kelly, when I did that list, Chris Mack was number 2.
Yeah, I remember him being on the list. That's huge too. His daughter coming to Vanderbilt. So, like, if you're looking, I mean, do you watch and see what Ohio State does if you're the AD for Vanderbilt? And
how
does that work?
Well, here's what. First of all, I'm assuming Ohio State said, "Look, we're not gonna prolong the agony. We know we're gonna make a change. We now can go ahead freely and, get with the search firms and get with, whoever they may be going after and not have to run around and hide about it." One victory does not change my opinion. Now, if they were to go down the stretch of the final, 8 games and go 6-2 or 7-2, would that force me to rethink? Yeah, it might. Unlike this guy at Ohio State and unlike the guy at DePaul, Jerry, it appears, is going to get to see this out to the end. So he's going to have that opportunity. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Hell no. I think they're going to go to Tennessee Saturday and get ripped. And all this euphoria over beating A&M are likely going to come to a screeching halt. But in fairness to Stackhouse, it looks like he will get that opportunity to go on a run that causes you to rethink. One victory? Hell no.
Yeah, I would agree there. I mean, good for the guys. Good. I mean, they get a win.
Good for Ezra Mannion.
Yeah, he deserves.
He's a trooper.
Some celebration. Okay, Preds obviously struggled last night, and it feels like you've kind of suddenly switched from Preds they're a good team still. I think they can make the playoffs too. It's hard for you to admit that they won't. Why is that?
Last night was really hard to see. First of all, I expected a team to come in with some real zip, and they didn't. They did very well on the power play to take a 1-0 lead, and from that point on, they got the hell beat out of them. And I don't know, it just the longer the shots kept flying from New Jersey, the more I kept saying to myself, "Oh my Lord, this is not quite what I've hoped it is. It's not a playoff team," and I hope I'm wrong.
They
Look,
didn't give up. They didn't give up, though, did they, George?
No, and it's not a question of quitting. To me, UC Soros saved their bacon and allowed it to be interesting going to the third period. And I remember sitting there during the intermission going, can they get through the next 20 minutes and hide the fact that they have gotten the snot kicked out of them? And unfortunately, they couldn't. And we all kind of looked at each other in 304 and said, this is not a playoff team. Now, are they on the right track? I think they are, mostly because I think Barry Trotz knows exactly what he's doing. I think that his honesty, his openness about what he knows about all this is really commendable. I got a lot of confidence that whatever move he's going to make to get them to a next level, that it's going to be a good move. How's that for an answer?
I like it. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, last night was pretty glaring, I feel like, for the Preds.
You were there.
Yeah.
Did you walk out of there with that same feeling?
I don't know. Maybe not all the way. Just because they seem to kind of float around a lot this year, whether they get down and then they find a way to battle back and get kind of back above water just barely, and then they go back down. So, not the same exact, but kind of getting there after that. It was pretty glaring.
New Jersey's go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, George. Go ahead.
New Jersey's in kind of the same position in the other conference that the Preds are, kind of treading water, and yet last night they looked light years better. And that's what scares me a little bit.
Well, what do you think they're going to do with UC Soros? Do you feel like what McGee said about them? Do you think they're willing to pay him? I mean, if you've got a commodity there do you think they like him? Do they feel confident in him? They're the guy that could take them somewhere, or where is all this trade stuff going? I mean, I know they're trying to get more players. I get that, and they're trying to get better. But you've got to have somebody on your radar if you're going to make that move, because he had 43 saves last night. I guess he's been a little inconsistent this year, but he's going to command a lot of money. So obviously he's a proven commodity in the NHL. I mean, where do you think they'll go with him?
Kelly, here's where I think they are realistically.
Okay.
Philip Forsberg has upped his game, in my mind, considerably.
Yeah.
He is right on superstar line. Whatever that line is, man, he's right on it. He didn't have a lot of help. He really needs another scorer to help him.
And the Preds are young. The guys that can help him, Novak, Evangelista, they're still really young. So I think they've got, Yossi obviously isn't, but I think the pieces that they want for the future are still just maybe a little too young to kind of be ready to take that next step.
So, first of all, I think Trotz is agonizing greatly over what to do. I think he's getting some offers that are forcing him to go, that's interesting. So he's sitting there with one goaltender. I'm almost writing this down while I'm doing this. He's got one goaltender who, when he's right, as he was a year ago when he was on fire, he was the best goaltender in the league. This year, not as much, but certainly very respectable and a fine goaltender. He also knows that this money in a year and a half is going to have to happen.
Yeah.
What he's sitting there with on the minor league level is a goaltender that everybody acts like is sort of a can't miss, this Russian kid.
Okay.
So he's sitting there saying to himself, okay, we trade UC. We don't have to pay all that money to a goaltender for 3 or 4 years. And UC will command the haul that takes the rest of our team to a better level. And this young kid steps in and shows that he can do it. Now, there's some question marks to it. I do think that he's going home on a nightly basis going, what do I do? This is tough stuff. But I have confidence in Barry. My confidence starts with him getting rid of Matt Duchene. When he did that, now he didn't say it to me, but that was him saying, this is not my first rodeo. I know the same stuff you all knew. Just because I haven't been here, don't think I don't know that he wasn't a problem in your locker room. And so he got rid of him. That's when I said to myself, we got something here.
Well, you got to have somebody up there that's not scared to make decisions, and hopefully he makes the right decisions. But that's what I always loved about Coach Donnelly. Right or wrong, he made the decision and he went with it and he lived with it. And that's when you've got somebody that's willing to do that, you got a good one.
What else might you have and ask the director?
Let's. I was thinking about the Super Bowl, me being a quarterback. Do you think that the Kansas City Chiefs have a chance to do something that nobody has ever done in the Super Bowl era? Three-peat.
Absolutely. I think they've got a shot. Now, what variables change? I would assume that Chris Jones is going to re-sign in KC, right?
You hope so.
I
They
don't
hope
know.
so.
But I mean, if you're really going to have this shot, doesn't he have to re-sign?
Yeah.
I think so, and I think it's probably a deal where he might not. I don't know. I mean, he held out last year. He came back and he got a pretty good deal, 1-year deal. But are you going for the money or are you going for championships? That's really what it boils down to.
Or can you get both?
Oh, well, that's what I was going to say. Or can you get both? And he may be willing to get. He might be, because he is a integral part of that defense of them being as good as they are. Like I keep telling people, I had an interview this morning with your boy Poggi, but I tell people when they first started this, their defense was not very good. And now their defense is just as good as their offense. I mean, they got guys in the back end that can cover. And then they got Steve Spagnuolo, who it's a shame that he wasn't up for the assistant of the year, but that guy can call a defense and he can get those guys in the right position, and he's not scared to make things happen. Like if nothing's happening on defense, I've been around a lot of guys that want to play base defense, and if they're killing you, they're not going to do anything different. But he's not going to sit around and watch that. He's going to start bringing people, and he kind of changed the game starting in the second half.
Here's a good one here, kind of adding on top of this with Kelly. They did just extend Steve Spagnuolo. Who's more important to that defense, Steve Spagnuolo or Chris Jones?
Spagnola. Okay. The answer is it's equal. They're both.
But you take Spags out. Are they obviously they're not the same? But which is more of a drastic change, or you're just kind of saying it's apples to orange?
Well, let's turn it into Ask Kelly.
I think that, as much as you hate to say this, and he was an integral part, I think you can't lose the defensive coordinator. I think they've got something going. He's got his foundation there. Those guys have been around him for a couple of years. If Chris Jones does go, they can get somebody to fill that spot. I don't know if it's going to be as good as Chris Jones, but I just don't know if you could do that right now at the defensive coordinator position.
Here's the other thing I think they need to work on. I think that this world title is more remarkable in that the receiver core for most of the year was very average.
Very.
And
dropped a lot of balls.
And this is an area that I think will be very easy for KC to upgrade. Number one, the free agent market is really a good one for wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Attention Titans, are you listening? And I think they are. That's the good thing is they want to throw the ball more. And I'm not talking about Nick Westbrook Akine. I'm talking about let's upgrade this thing significantly. So the Chiefs are going to have that same opportunity, and they're people that want to play with Mahomes. I think the biggest single issue that's going to come up, because it's going to come up at some point, is Mahomes willing to give up some money at some point to allow them the freedom to do some other things to keep this intact?
I think so. I mean, I think we've heard stories about Tom Brady being able to do that, but like, how much do you need? I mean, the guy's got more money now than he's ever going to spend if he's smart with his money. But I think if you're trying, there comes a point in a professional's career where you get to the stardom level that he's at right now. And are you playing for championships or are you playing for money? And most people say, well, you're playing for championships, but some guys don't believe that. I truly believe that when you get to where he's at right now, he's been to 4 Super Bowls, he's won 3. He's got enough money. They just gave him a new contract a couple of years ago, gave him everything he wanted. I think it's about championships now, and I think he would be willing to do that to bring more championships and more rings, because now he's in a situation where everybody's talking about and comparing him to Tom Brady. Tom Brady had 7. I don't know if he's ever going to get to 7 because there's a lot of variables that go into that, but I guarantee you he's going to try, and he's thinking about it. And just think about if Tom Brady doesn't beat him a couple of years ago, he's got 4. At the age of 28, the dude would have 4. Now he's got 3. I mean, I didn't even make it to a Super Bowl, and the dude's got 3, and he's been to 4. So it's not far off. And I think he would probably start thinking about, if management came to him and said, hey, we need this to help us get this, I think he would do it.
These are the things that he is thinking about, Billy, as he gets on the flume Zoom at Disneyland.
They're in Kansas City right now.
The parade today. Okay, got any more?
Yeah, I wanna ask you.
Peanut Gallery.
Good gracious, I lost my train of thought, man. Oh, how is we're in Tennessee Titans country. How do you think Brian Callahan is going to? I mean, how long do you think it's going to take him to get this thing back up and going again?
First of all, Terry's going to join us at 3:00 because they had a press gathering, I think around 12:30, 12:45, with Callahan and some of the new coaching staff. So it is very easy to be optimistic. Nobody's lost any games. He's talking a good game. He wants to throw the ball. He has a pedigree from Cincinnati. And so right now, life is pretty good. Hadn't lost anything.
Right.
I think more of this is going to be on Carthon. I'm going to assume that Callahan knows what he's doing, in particular on the offensive end, and that they'll be significantly better. I'm going to assume that he does a pretty good job with Will Levis, and Levis takes a step up. Okay? Then it becomes more Rand Carthon. Who's the backup quarterback? What receivers are they going to get? Because it will not look good if a free agent market that's flooded with receivers that none of them want to come here.
They got plenty of money, correct?
Sure they do.
Plenty of money, yes.
Sure they do. And so anything short of a really good offseason, and the spotlight's going to be on Rand Carthon, and it's not going to be all that good. So he had better have a really good offseason because he's got draft picks, he's got money, and he's got the coach he wanted, because he certainly fought a power struggle to get rid of the last guy. We now know that.
Right.
even though they didn't tell us.
Writings
Billy?
on the wall.
Let's see.
Nothing else?
Well, as part of, I kind of had this in the update.
Mm-hmm.
Texas Athletic Director Chris Del Conte, is it Conte? I think.
Yeah, whatever.
Confirmed the SEC is progressing to a 9-game conference schedule.
No kidding.
By the 2026 season.
Gee, there's a big shock, huh? Breaking hit the sounder.
I don't have it. But what is that? I mean, does that change anything for you? Obviously, a school like Vanderbilt probably doesn't like it. You know, you're used to saying Missouri. Missouri all of a sudden is in that upper echelon. But schools like Vandy, Mississippi State, who are trying to rebuild, how much tougher does that make them that you're adding on another game, another SEC game, not just any game?
I think the world of NIL and transfer portal and going to an expanded SEC with Texas and Oklahoma. If I thought the job was tough in Vandy football going in, I now think it's very close to impossible. I just don't see the path anymore that says, oh, I can see where they're going to be really good.
It's tough to compete in this world, man. It really is. In this new age of college football, George and I talked today. I had a guy tell me that in 5 years, college football will not look the same. And that's kind of disparaging to me. It's discouraging. I don't know. It's just all the money that's gone into it. Like, he was saying that there will be there'll be a stadium on campus. The kids will be on campus. Their training facilities will be on campus, but they'll be an entity all to themselves. Instead of the University of, say, Alabama, it'll probably be Alabama football. And when you start putting all this money into it, George, like the state of Alabama, obviously college football is really important, but like how many teams are going to have an honest, and this goes to Vanderbilt, how many teams are going to have an honest shot to be part of the national championship talk? There's probably only going to be, somebody said, well, 30 schools. And he was like, it's not even 30 schools now. And it's all because of money. You're looking at the Alabamas, the Georgias, maybe the UTs, maybe the Texas A&Ms, but then Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, Oklahoma, Texas. And then where do you go after that? I mean, it's all about money, and it's all about who's got the collective to get these kids. And then he also said that maybe the kids don't even like at some point they don't even go to school, and I just don't know how that's going to work. Like they're like they start out making more money than pro guys. Some of them, I don't know. It's crazy where all this is heading, and I don't know if I always say it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know if I'm interested in seeing it, to be honest with you.
If it's all about money, that's something Vanderbilt donors have, no?
Yeah, Vanderbilt donors have it, but do you not think they get tired of losing at everything?
Absolutely. Why would you put that in there, Billy? You know what I'm saying? Like, why? And that's that's one of the problems I have with all this NIL stuff. Like, if you're got ungodly amount of money and you start giving it to a university, and then you're not getting back what you put in, say, this team sucks right now because they're all entitled and you can't get them to play together. They want more money. They keep on. And then what do you do as a sponsor? Said, I'm not sponsoring that anymore. I'm not doing that. So what's going to happen when all these collectives say, screw that, I'm not doing that anymore? So where does all this go then? Yeah.
We are getting word that, and this is pathetic, absolutely pitiful, that multiple people have been injured in Kansas City at the Super Bowl parade as shots were fired.
Yeah, unbelievable, dude. It's just,
you talk about deflating.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awful.
It's unbelievable, man.
After the break, so much for Ask the Director. After the break, we'll go to Stat of the Day. Then Terry McCormick will join us. He looks like he's lounging very comfortably. I need a sofa like that where I can just sort of kick up like this and go, yeah, we'll be back after this.
It's not like radio.
No, it is not. Hit the commercial quick.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Tracks machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
And there goes the music.
Okay, let me read the story real quickly that has just come over the wire, so to speak, out of Kansas City. Shots were fired at the end of the Chiefs Super Bowl parade, injuring 8 to 10 people, according to a fire official. Fire Department Battalion Chief Michael Hopkins declined further comments, saying only that additional info will be released soon. Police said in a news release that 2 people were detained. Fans were urged to exit the area as quick as possible. Kansas City Police said on X that child reunification stations were set up at the main entrance to Union Station and at 2301 Main Street. Here's a quote: "We still have several needing reunification." Police also asked witnesses to the shooting to go to a corner near Union Station. That is one pitiful story. Here's one in the world of sports. 49ers fired defensive coordinator Steve Wilks after 1 year. Over the last 48 hours, that one has been expected.
Stat of the day, brought to you by John English, Antique, Sports, and Cards. You can find them out in Shelbyville, 204 East Depot Street. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, here we go. See what Matthew's got cooked up. Last season, Ronald Acuna Jr. recorded his second 30-30 season. George, that is for Kelly. I mean, Kelly, you know what that is?
30 homers, 30 stolen bases.
Okay. I was just
I'm not that dumb, Billy. I mean, relax, Francis.
Who is the only other player in Braves franchise history with multiple 30-30 seasons?
Well, Hank Aaron is certainly a name that has to come to mind. By the way, these are not easy questions. I think it's Aaron. He certainly had multiple 30 homer seasons. The 30 stolen bases would have been earlier in his career.
Otis Nixon wasn't a home run hitter, was he?
No, Dusty
No.
Baker was, but I don't think he was a Brave long enough for it to be that. I'm guessing it's Hank Aaron.
What about Andrew Jones?
Well, you know what? That's a real possibility. Andrew Jones had a 51 homer year. Toward the end, he didn't steal a lot of bases. He got a little more plump. I still think it's Aaron, but let's see if one of the two's up there.
All right.
Oh,
Ron
wow.
Gant. Oh, Terry McCormick said Ron Gant.
Yeah. Did he really?
He did. He said maybe Ron Gant.
Terry said maybe Ron Gant.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I'll say this.
Ron
When
Gant.
he came up, Ron Gant was built like a freight train.
He looks big.
Oh, he was a big man and a darn good player. Way to go, Terry McCormick. I should have thought of Ron Gant. When you're sitting up here, it is not as easy as you think it is.
It's like all thought gets blocked out.
Blocked out. So let's talk with Terry. Okay, so we're at the homestead?
We are. We're at home. We just arrived back home from the press conference where the offensive coordinator, Nick Holtz, and the defensive coordinator, Denard Wilson, were both introduced.
Okay, so what did you learn? What did you come out of there with that maybe you didn't think you knew going in?
Well, I think one of the things that I took away that I was impressed with from Denard Wilson, the defensive coordinator, who went first in the discussion, he said that he comes from he's been with several teams. Most recently was defensive backs coach for the Ravens, and the Ravens, as you know, for the better part of 2 decades or more, have been a unique defense. They have a knack for taking the ball away, getting turnovers like crazy. And he said that is going to be, something that he's going to emphasize. He said they're going to be aggressive. He comes from the Greg Williams and Todd Bowles school of defense. That means lots of blitzing. That means man-to-man corner coverage. That means, defending the ball while it's in the air and getting a pass rush. So I think certainly a new leaf for the Titans defense. And he said that it'll be interesting, because he wants to put the players that he has in a position to succeed and find a way to use them to their best ability.
Okay, let me bring Kelly in on this. And this is me being a little cynical, but Kelly, I've never heard one of these where a defensive coordinator said, we're just going to be very passive. We're not interested in getting turnovers. We're good enough that we'll win without these turnovers.
The word blitz is always mentioned.
Can a coach really affect the number of turnovers you end up receiving?
I mean, just the way that he plays, the way that he calls a defense. I mean, if he's really, a lot of people say a lot of stuff, but words are very shallow. So it just depends on, and like you said, like if he's a Todd Bowles guy, which I was around Todd Bowles, and I know how aggressive Todd is, and you watch his Tampa Bay defenses, he can bring it, and he'll throw everything at you. He'll play quite a bit of cover zero during a game, which is very risky, and but. I mean, no risk, no reward. So, no, you cannot. But I think the way you coach, I can remember being with Lane Kiffin's daddy, Monty Kiffin, and he did not do that. He was a 4-3 cover. Tampa 2 is what they called it when he was there. But you have to have guys that can rush the passer, and he did not do that at all. But they worked on turnovers every day, and his attitude and his energy and his enthusiasm, being an old man like he was, brought a lot of energy, and I think it rolls over to the players when you're like that. And if Denard Wilson is that kind of coach, the way he coaches can bring turnovers like that, and the way that he coaches the defense and the way that he schemes the offenses up and if he starts bringing pressure, man, that was the one thing that I, as a quarterback, if I look out there and your guys are 7 to 10 yards off, I can complete balls. But when people start getting up in your face and they make you just hold on to the ball just a split second more, that's tough. And then when they start bringing people, if you're not totally schooled up on all your protections, you're in trouble. So, yeah, they can. We'll just see. We'll have to see.
So Terry, cynical me says, gee, that sounds great, but have you looked at that secondary? They can't play anybody man-to-man.
Well, they're going to have to bring in some players. I mean, they've got $70 million in free agency money, and some of that's going to have to be spent on some covered corners. And some draft picks are probably going to have to be spent on some cover corners as well. It's interesting, when you look at the personnel that they have, and it's certainly, last year they didn't play a lot of man-to-man because, like you said, they weren't equipped for it. And the interesting part of that to me is that, some of the guys that they had, maybe a Christian Fulton could have played, probably was more suited to play more man-to-man cover type stuff rather than the zone things that the Titans employed a lot of the time. So even though he's an impending free agent, maybe he's a guy that gets a new lease on life in a short deal to say, hey, we'll give you 1 year and $5 million. Show us that you've got something, now that we're putting in a system that fits what you do. So, there are ways to make it happen. I think, they're going to emphasize, speed and cover skills and things like that, because without that and without a pass rush to go with it, nobody can cover for very long.
So let's go to the offensive side. Tell me what you learned there.
Well, basically, Nick Holtz, who's known Brian Callahan since they went to high school together, he's been in the league a long time, spent a lot of time with the Raiders, spent some time at Jacksonville, also was offensive coordinator at UNLV. It's going to be a situation just like Cincinnati. He's going to put the game plans together. He's going to be overseeing the staff, but Brian Callahan is going to be the play caller, much like Zach Taylor was in Cincinnati. So Nick Holtz's job will be to kind of be Brian Callahan to what Brian Callahan was to Zach Taylor, if that makes sense. And, I think one of the interesting things that Callahan said was, and Kelly, this is probably music to your ears in terms of, what he's wanting to do. He said that the quarterback will have some input into what they want to do. He said he kept Will Levis in the loop in terms of all the hires that they've made and the people that he's going to go with, and that he wants to build this thing around Will Levis to maximize him and keep him involved and do the things that it takes to try and make him a franchise type quarterback and build on that coach and quarterback relationship. And to me, that sounds like, that it is, imperative for, all these coaches to be on the same page and for Will Levis to be on that page with them to make this work.
Take it and go, Kelly.
I think that's awesome, man, because I can remember, growing up, the coach told you what to do and you did it. And you never really questioned that. But I remember when I was in Cleveland and I was with Bruce, same thing in Indianapolis, but I was more hands-on with Bruce because I was playing. So he would come into our Saturday morning meetings and we would be going over the game plan. And he would say, I want you to tell me what you like and what you really like and what you really do not like. And I never had a coach say that because, I grew up with Coach Donnelly and all those guys. You just did what they said do. And when he said that, I was like, because the thinking about that is we can put all this stuff in, we can game plan, we can put all these plays in. But if you're not comfortable with it, if you hadn't practiced it during the week and you don't feel good about it, then you can't go into a game and feel good about it. And that was kind of shocking to me. So I think it has to be an ongoing relationship between quarterback and coach. And he has to figure out what Will Levis does well. I'm sure he's already looked at a bunch of tapes with Will Levis and what he does well and what he does good and what they need to work on with him, what he's weak at right now. And when you've got a coach's back like that who wants to know exactly what it is that you like and the things that I'm sure that if Brian Callahan has some things that he hasn't run in a while, but Will Levis likes it, I'm sure he can go through all the mental stuff that he's done over the years with all these other coaches, and he can implement that stuff. So that's a really good first step in trying to bring Will Levis up to being a franchise starting quarterback in the National Football League.
Before we go any farther, here is the latest that's come out of Kansas City. Areas that had been filled with crowds were empty after the shooting, with police and firefighters standing and talking behind an area restricted by yellow tape. What a pitiful story.
Yeah. It's where our country's become, man. It's crazy. You can't do anything without feeling safe. It's unbelievable.
What is wrong with people?
It's unbelievable, man. Crazy.
I mean, you can't even celebrate your team's Super Bowl victory in a parade without this. I mean, I don't know why I'm acting surprised, because we shouldn't be surprised at anything anymore. Anyway, Terry McCormick with us. Terry, what else?
I was going to ask something, actually, George.
Go ahead.
And I think Titans fans like this comparison because what Trevor Lawrence did when Doug Peterson came in was unreal. I mean, it was like night and day, from Urban Meyer and what he tried to do with him. But can you compare that with what Callahan might try to do with Will Levis? Honestly, I look at their games and I think they have obviously similar builds and similar maybe style of plays. But do you draw any comparisons there potentially?
Potentially, I think there's something there. I think Lawrence is a little bit more mobile. Will run around a little bit more than Levis does. Levis operates more from the pocket. But I think the parallel that you're drawing there is the fact that Doug Peterson came in. He and Trevor Lawrence quickly got up to speed on what it was that Trevor Lawrence did well, and then tried to make the most of that and accentuate it. And I think that's exactly what Brian Callahan and Nick Holtz want to do with Will Levis, is get him up to speed as quickly as possible, focus on the things that he likes to do, try to eliminate some of the things that he doesn't do well, and the things that need work, do that sort of thing, and try to get Levis up to a high level as quickly as possible in this system.
Terry, I'm sorry to keep butting in. The Kansas City Star is reporting that at the conclusion of the Kansas City Chiefs pep rally, the parade, there were shots fired west of Union Station near the garage, and several people were struck. This is according to a police captain who told the Kansas City Star it remains uncertain how many victims were injured by the gunfire. The Star estimated as many as 9 people were struck.
Crazy times, man.
Terry, anything else? I realize this all pales in comparison and in importance. Anything else you want to share?
Yeah, I'll throw this in. Titans still got about 3 vacancies to fill. Callahan said that they were about 90% done, said they hope to have a special teams coordinator soon, hope to have a new strength coach here before too long, and still need to add an assistant offensive line coach. So, George, if you feel like you're qualified for any of those positions, you should apply soon.
I think the strength and conditioning, I think we can rule out.
Yes.
I think
Absolutely.
special teams wise, I can be very good. The players will like it. We're not going to have any meetings. Just go out there and punt the damn thing and,
really?
and be done. Yeah, and be done with it.
Oh, is that correct? Is that all you got to do, George?
That's how my regime is going to operate.
Oh, wow. You'll be there about one day and you'll be gone.
Yes, I will.
Has Bobby Bentley called you yet for that?
No, come to think of it, no, he really has not, although we've met. But maybe he was not all that impressed with my credentials, even though I have a Hall of Fame deal right there that I had
Hall of
nothing
Fame
to do.
golf tourney.
Yes. I won the putt-putt part.
Hey, Terry, is there anything going on with Malik? Do you know anything about Malik Willis, Derrick Henry? I know free agency hadn't started, but like, when is all that? I mean, are we hearing anything with that?
Nothing really as of yet. I mean, Callahan did go on a radio show somewhere, and I think he said that, he would, if Derrick Henry was interested in staying, he was interested in having him back. I don't know if it's advanced any further than that. I still think Derrick probably winds up elsewhere. Malik Willis is under contract for 2 more years. It's going to be interesting to see what they do at that backup quarterback spot behind Levis, because Malik, certainly a different style of quarterback, not really in the Levis Tannehill mold that the Titans have kind of gone with over the last several years. But, when Joe Burrow went down, Brian Callahan was able to mold the game plan to fit Jake Browning. In fact, that's one of the reasons that the Titans were so interested in him, was because he was able to adapt what he did to a new quarterback and keep him competitive, and that's to keep the team competitive. So as far as Malik Willis goes, if he sticks around, I would say that Brian Callahan probably will put together some sort of plan to use with him, and in case he has to go in a ball game.
Terry, thank you so much. As always, continue your lounging.
I will. Thank you.
Go Braves.
Ron Gant.
42 days away from opening day in the bigs.
Yes, spring training this week.
Yeah, pitchers and catchers.
Nice.
Okay, after the break, we're going to shorten things a tad bit to get Billy home and under observation.
So mommy can get him some warm milk before
both
he goes
physically and mentally. And so after the break, we'll go to Plaster Bet of the Day, which I know all of you are thrilled to hear. Stay with us.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser engraved Yeti cups and knives. Recognize your hardworking team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
All right, we'll get to bet of the day here in just a moment. We do have some more details from Kansas City. Of course, several people were shot after revelers gathered to celebrate with a parade. Obviously, the shooting took place west of Union Station near the garage. 2 armed people have been detained, according to KC police. And apparently citizens tackled the gunman down, like 4 or 5 of them.
Wow.
So, I'm sure there were some lives saved there, but that's really the latest. I think you covered it there, George.
So far, we don't have any knowledge of fatalities. What we do have is a number that's been put out there, 9 people.
We do have 1 death, actually.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there's only 1 right now.
Ugh.
But there is live coverage, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. I think
they've all gone
over
to it.
Yeah. So ESPN
Pitiful.
might even be too, but
Pitiful.
It's awful. All right, bet of the day brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Another, of course, important gig here in Nashville. I know all that's going on in Kansas City, but I'm sure they're familiar. But Bart Durham Injury Law, give them a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, let's see what happened last night. And San Diego State won that one. Virginia didn't win that one. And Providence.
You got 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3.
Yeah.
And so, we're going to try the 2 out of 3 thing again. By the way, Virginia. Really? Although I'll say this, I was surprised. Pitt has had a much better season under Jeff Capel than I realized.
Yeah, they have.
I kind of undersold them a little bit.
Yeah.
It happens.
He came from Duke, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going with 3 picks tonight. And here we go. The first one, Seton Hall at home, -2.5 against Xavier. Seton Hall at home, -2.5 against Xavier. Belmont, cheap number tonight at home against SIU. 2.5-point favorite. We're taking Belmont. Curb Center. Tough place. Belmont has really scuffled in recent weeks. I don't think their guard play's been particularly good. They haven't shot the ball all that well from outside. It's basically been Malik Dia and Cade Tyson. It was good enough to beat Murray. It'll be good enough to take care of SIU. And finally, we go with my buddy Kevin Willard, the head coach at Maryland. They're a little offensively challenged, but they will get in your face defensively. Maryland -4.5 at home against Iowa.
Okay. Woo.
So
against Iowa, huh?
Yep. Seton Hall, Belmont, Maryland. We're going to get 2 out of 3, no matter what.
Okay. We'll see.
The mixture here. You get some mid-major, you get some lower level Power 5.
We're not discriminatory. Unless you're a road team.
Yeah.
Oh.
Then we don't take it very often.
You're all about these home teams, man.
Auburn's at South Carolina.
No, South Carolina.
Or South Carolina
is Auburn.
Okay, my bad.
It's a double-digit number.
So you stayed away from that.
Yeah, because look, the reason the number is so high, Auburn has beat the crap out of everybody down there.
Right.
But this South Carolina bunch, they control tempo.
Yeah.
They're going to try, and I don't think they're going to succeed at it, but they're going to try to keep this thing in the low 70s. My first thought is good luck on that, because at Auburn, Kentucky goes down there Saturday. They're going to find out. winning at Auburn is tough.
What if South Carolina does win at Auburn, George? How good are they?
Well, I think then we have to go back to the drawing board on South Carolina. First of all, right now they're a 5 seed. To me, they're being shortchanged a little.
I think so too, man. They're 21-3. Good gracious.
If you're Lamont Paris, I don't know that you hate that though.
Yeah.
You kind of go in.
Beat Auburn, though, and it'll change.
It will.
Billy, let's get a medical update.
Better. Hopefully we'll be 100% tomorrow.
Is your tummy hurting, Billy?
Oh,
it was this morning.
Oh gosh,
you're so unprofessional.
Hey, have mommy make you some warm milk and give you a little pill for the bed and give you a nap.
Hey Kelly, grow up.
You grow up.
Here's one for you. Tell mommy to shove it.
Awesome.
Even by my standards, that was out of control. See you tomorrow.
See ya.